super glad because we already have our speaker here with us as well, Ntongha Ekot, also known as NT. Yay! A round of applause for her. Yay! We're all excited, and I'm so glad we're all excited. I'm so glad we're all excited. I am also excited, and I'm ready to learn, to listen. So, this is put together by Ishe. And briefly, before we go on, I'd like to just say a thing or two about, what Ishe is all about for those who do not know. But while I'm saying that, I'm just going to leave about 3 to 4 more minutes so that we can have more people join us on the call. But while we wait for more people, I'm just going to talk about what Ishe is. So Ishe basically is an organization where we believe in learning, working, and succeeding. So what we do at Isha is that we help young people, particularly Africans, with the tech skills that they need to thrive, to work, and to succeed, to be people of value. And we do that through, multiple channels ranging from, expert-led classes, hands-on training, one-on-one with your tutors. You're not just getting a bunch of pre-recorded sessions. And, to top it off, you have the opportunity to even pay in installments because we believe that learning should be as accessible and as affordable as possible. So that's a bit about Ishe. And, we have the tribe as well. So we have the Ishe tribe, which is like a community of young professionals, of students who just come together to learn, share resources, share opportunities, and, advance in their career as, entry level professionals in the tech and operations industry. So, Cedric, your mic is on. All right, thank you. Thank you very much. So, that's basically what Ishe is about. And yeah, but before I go on, oh, hi, Candy. Hello, thank you for joining the call. So, before I go on, I'm just going to say,
Hello, IMD. Can you hear me? Okay. I think, sorry, maybe I network myself. All right, guys, please, can you hear me? Can you guys, I send emojis, you can hear me? All right. Yeah, well done, everyone. I think IMD's network just kind of messed up. So, I mean, this evening we have before us our speaker, right? Ntongha Ekot, popularly known as NT. Sorry, I used to call him NT. So NT is, I mean, she's also great, right? I mean, career-wise, personality-wise, right? So she's a role model to, I mean, a lot of, for me, she's a sister and a boss, right? Um, so it's such a great honor to have her here with us. She's been able to have a good career, right, for herself, build a good career for herself in the tech world, in marketing, right. So today we are going to be learning from her. We're going to be listening to her speak to us about her journey, how she's been able to get herself from working with Safeboda, QuickBoss, Norbase, and then with, I don't know if I'm pronouncing Syntasso correctly, right? There she is. Yeah, there she is at the moment. So I mean, it's going to be a great time. Trust me. So I want everybody to stay true, right? This evening, make sure that you're here all through, that you're taking notes, right? So we're going to have a great session with her, and then afterwards, we are going to have you guys ask her any of your questions. So, for example, if you have questions that you've always wanted to ask, or an expert in the tech world, somebody who has done it for themselves before, right? If you've maybe you're trying to get into, or you've been in tech and then you're trying to scale, in your parts, this is like the best session. This is like the right place to be, right? So all of your questions, just have them on ground, and then when she's done with her session, you would have that opportunity to ask her your questions, and then trust me, she's going to deliver. She's going to help you answer them very well, right? So, hi, NT. Good evening. How you doing?
Hi, I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, very well, very well, very good. Thank you for coming aboard.
Pleasure's mine.
Yeah. So, it would just like I'll have you take your session now, and then afterwards, people can ask their questions.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. Yeah.
All right. Thanks everyone. Thanks for having me. It's truly my pleasure to be here, particularly because I am always happy when I get asked by people who want to come into tech to just share my experience and provide any answers that you might have, because I'm someone who has benefited a lot from community. So that's really exciting. Uh my name is my name is Ntongha, but everyone calls me NT because obviously that's easier to pronounce. And I tried for a very long time to come up with slides to sort of speak about my journey. And then I realized that I spent so much time on my portfolio, which has pretty much sort of encapsulated that. So I'm just going to share that with you guys and run through that as quickly as possible so that we can get to any questions. All right, let me share my screen. Please let me know when you can see my screen. All right, thank you. So, yeah, my name is Ntongha, and I officially got into tech in December 2019. Prior to this, I worked in an advertising agency in Lagos where I sort of got my first experience with marketing communications. So I had worked in the um, traditional advertising space. That's like pretty much people that do buying and selling and monitoring of ad spaces for radio, television, out of home advertising, like billboards and things like that. And then I got into the digital aspect. That's how I got into digital marketing in August 2018 as a social media manager and content writer. And then 2019 was when I transitioned into tech as a content strategist and copywriter. After that, this was at Safeboda, and this was like my first experience marketing a digital product or a tech or like a tech product in a sense. And from there, I went on to join QuickBoss and then Norbase, and I'm currently at Syntasso. I've worked with a couple other companies in between, but not like full-time roles. All right. So I am typically fascinated by three things: creativity, organization, and impact. As someone who I want to say is, but most times I just say was a creative, I realized that so many times when people think of the creative process, they see it as something that's chaotic, like just waiting for inspiration to just hit you out of the blue spot. I am very particular about providing structure such that we know that this is how to do things, this is when to do things, this is how to get them done. So this portfolio, just going to run through some of the things that I've done in this space, um, just for you to get like a sense of my journey so far. Uh, what gives me energy, this is not important here because this is like, all right, so the skills I've acquired in my journey so far are product marketing, life cycle marketing, CRM management, marketing ops, B2B and B2C, because I've worked across B2B and B2C, that's business to business and business to customer, partnerships, administrative operations, project management, creative thinking, da, 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 da. And these are some of the tools I've worked with. Just to be clear, some of the skills are also skills I picked up from volunteering as well. So not just work related. These are the three companies I've made an impact so far in. So for Safeboda, where I was content strategist and copywriter, I led content marketing efforts and were able to generate some results, which includes acquiring over 150,000 customers in 2 years, completing over 2 million rides, having a retention rate of 60% week on week. I also created and positioned the Shay from Safeboda brand persona. I don't know if any of you were in Ibadan when Safeboda started, but I was pretty much Shay from Safeboda. And then I also led a product partnership with Flutterwave. I know most people in the tech space will know of Flutterwave because they are for like payments and all. And so I was pretty much also the person doing partnerships at Safeboda as well. Okay. These are some of the things I did in my time there as well. And these are, so that's like a billboard, that's in-app messaging, that's a push notification, and that's someone talking about work from, or like work done by Shay from Safeboda as well. Then I went from Safeboda to QuickBus, which was also in the transportation space. But the difference is that while Safeboda was in the space as a ride hailing service, for QuickBus, it was more like you being able to book your buses in advance. And this involved a lot of business to business work, because while with Safeboda, we were dealing with the actual bikemen that had these bikes, with QuickBus, we were dealing with bus companies, right? Not necessarily the drivers of those buses. So there was that business to business part, and there was also the business to customer part, where we had to, because it's always a demand and supply thing. So we were marketing both to the businesses and to the final customers. This was from 2021 to 2023, and QuickBus was acquired in 2024. When a company is acquired, that just pretty much means that someone bought the company, and those who had shares in it were like pretty much exited in a sense. And in my time here, I also did content strategy again, and also led a partnership as well. Someone have something to say? Okay. All right. Okay. Also, in my time at QuickBus, I led a partnership with the government, with NYSC, really, or your state, that saw us generating. Sorry, I hear someone. Um, Shedra, could you please mute? Okay, thank you. All right. So, in my time at QuickBus, I led a partnership with NYSC that pretty much saw us generating double our current fleet sales in about 5 hours from this partnership. Then from there, this is just some things I did. This is me speaking at the NYC campground in Isain. I think that's how it's pronounced. But this role was more regional, in the sense that I worked for like I worked across Kenya, South Africa, and then Nigeria as well. Then I moved on to Norbase, which was a more global role, because we, or like what Norbase helps you do is incorporate your company in any country in the world. So we had over 50 African countries, and then we had the US, we had the UK, we had Canada, we had some other countries as well. And in my time here, I did a lot more than I did at QuickBus and Safeboda in terms of execution work. So I was in charge of life cycle and email marketing. I was also in charge of social media and content creation, while also being in charge of like partnerships as well. So it was a lot. but in my time here, I started a startup founder series, which you would most likely still see on the LinkedIn pages of Norbase. And I was pretty much the face of Norbase in a sense, because if you go to their page and you check like their videos, you see a lot of the videos that I made in my time there, and those videos led to a like 845% increase in brand reach, 102% growth in Instagram followers, and 100% increase on TikTok and LinkedIn, which then led to the like fueling of lead generation and sign-ups and applications and all of that, which led to like 20% conversion rate. All right. So this is just more like much more detail about it. But this just gives you a sense of my journey so far. Uh I want to touch on some things around volunteering and basically things I've done as a volunteer in community that have been helpful. And one was leading the social media team for my church, Celebration Church International, which is where I know Hillary from. So I have worked in my church in campus, regional, and global roles, and it has been really helpful in honing my work ethic and also stretching me to be able to do other things, because I also did operations where I had to plan events as well, and then some speaking engagements, which are not necessary here as well. Then communities I belong to, this is very important because, and again, I don't know how to pronounce the name. I'm really bad at pronouncing Yoruba names, but I know that this is a community, the Ise tribe. I think I'm not saying that well, but again, I'm very particular about this because I'm very particular about communities, and I belong to not just this four. I belong to, I think about 7 or so communities, and every single one has been helpful. Every single one is still helpful, which is why I'm really particular about people being able to harness the power of community when it comes to your career growth. So, this is just some random things. So this is pretty much my portfolio and me telling you about my journey. So now I'll just let you ask questions. I try to keep this as short as possible so that you can ask questions. So I hope you've gotten to know me a bit better and my journey so far.
Yeah, thank you very much, Auntie. Thank you very much. I mean, that's a lot, right? That's a lot. I was just smiling as I was listening to you speak. Thank you very much. Yeah, guys. So I don't know if anyone has questions for. I mean, I think people are raising their hands already. So yeah. So I mean, please help us to do this. So if you have questions, for I know some of you might have multiple questions. Please ask your questions together, so Auntie can attend to you. Sorry, I keep calling her Auntie. That's what I'm used to calling her, right? So she can attend to you, and then we move on to the next question. So Ayotunde Olufemi, please go ahead with your question. Hi, Ayotunde Olufemi. I think you went out. Okay. Is it sorry, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. All right, guys. So, does anybody else have questions for NT? I mean, we have questions we want to ask her. I want to take like one or two, and then we'll just move on to that. Okay. So, I mean, if there's not at the moment, so I'll just move on. So, okay, thank you very much again, NT. So, I'll just like ask you a few questions. We have about 7 questions here. Yeah. And I'll just take them one by one, right? So,
Okay.
so the first question, yeah, says, as someone who's been in tech for a while, I mean, you shared your journey with us, and that's like it's been years of getting all of that, those experiences, right? So, as someone who's been in tech for a while, what would you say is your inspiration, right? So, I mean, you're human, so I'm sure that there are times that you don't feel like, I mean, doing what you do at the moment, or maybe there are just weeks of periods where you feel like demotivated as it were and all of that. So what
Yeah.
actually keeps you going? There's something particularly about you, or is it a value you have, or is it just a goal, right? So what actually keeps you motivated and keeps you going, even when you don't feel like?
Hmm. To be very honest, I want to say is poverty. But I'm I'm pretty much someone who sort of stumbled into tech because I read human physiology and I was in the medical sciences, but then NYC led me to an ad agency, and that's how I found my way in marketing in general. So it's pretty much been like a whirlwind ever since I joined tech. My inspiration would be, apart from the fact that I don't want to be poor, um, would be, I think, my senior colleagues. So I am part of like different communities, like I mentioned, and I have access to really senior people in the tech space. And I see how they talk, I see what they talk about, and I'm like, okay, I can see myself doing what this person is doing. I can see myself being in the position that this person is. And that has really helped me in terms of like charting my goals for my career. And that pushes me to do more and to be more. There's also the aspect of the fact where I don't want to say rest on my oars, but I'm quite restless. And I want to know that I am not just doing my best, but giving my all. Because when I was, I think, 20 years old, I wrote something that I considered my epitaph. That's what would be written on your tombstone when you die. And what I wrote was that she died empty. So, what this means is that I want to live as fully as possible and ensure that every gift that I have been given by God is like poured out on the world. I've utilized every single thing. And that's part of what keeps me going, because the longer I spend working in the tech space, the more I am stretched. My current role is marketing, but it's also marketing in an entirely different industry. So I'm having to learn a lot more about like proper tech, like developer language tech. And just one, being able to see like my senior colleagues and be like, oh, you can do this, because they do usually ginger me when things are not going so well. um just lets me know that it's possible. That thing that our parents used to say, oh, did the person have two heads, is actually true. The people don't have two heads. If they can do it, you
Yeah.
can do it too. So that has really helped me on my journey. And just knowing that God did not create me to be mediocre has been helpful as well.
Yeah. Wow, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I mean, that's like a lot together to process. So thank you. I'll just move on to the next one. So I mean, here the next question is about community, but you've touched on that already. The importance of community and all of that, right? So I mean, if if you were to like directly address people who wants to get into tech, right? Would you say that I mean, not to like compare, but I just want you to like touch a bit more on the importance of community for people who are trying to find their feet, right? You're trying to learn a skill, or you're actually, in the path already. And then, what's like, because I mean, at each school, there's that we place that much importance on community, right? And that's why we have this, issue tribe. So I just wanted to touch on that a bit more, on the importance of community for I mean somebody's people trying to get into tech, or people there already and just trying to chart their course.
Okay. Like you mentioned, and like I've mentioned as well, I'm a huge proponent of communities, because from the start of my career, when I was a social media manager in 2018, my line manager introduced me to a digital marketers platform called DigiClan. And I met some of my lifelong friends from that group. And they've been people who have held my hands throughout my career. When I say held my hands, I mean that I would have an issue at work and I would say, I have no idea what to do. And they will get on calls with me and say, no, you do this, you do this, you do this. So I'm a huge fan and advocate of communities. Um, Although I don't have a lot, because most of my communities are sort of tied towards my career, like towards my actual path, which is marketing. But as I began to get like a more defined career path, right? Where it was just or like not just marketing, it was like product marketing or life cycle marketing. I joined like Product Marketing Alliance and Growth Hackers Africa. Now I belong to two other digital marketing communities in addition to these marketing communities. And I also joined Her Synergy, which is for like women in STEM, which has been helpful to me because it's not just like career focused, like marketing focused, right? It's in general things like investments, public speaking, mentoring, and all of that. So I would say that if you want to get started, not just in tech, to be fair, in any industry, I would always advocate for two things. One, be part of a community, and then two, volunteering. Those two things that or I've found that those two things are really helpful because for me, part of the reasons why I was able to hone my skills or even like expand my network to include those senior people was because I was quick to volunteer. And when I volunteer, I like, I never half-ass volunteering because a friend of mine, Samuel, would say that if you're volunteering, then you should be giving even more than you would at your job because nobody asked you to do the work in the first place. You volunteered, right? And that has been something that has stayed with me. So if I'm doing anything in a like volunteer capacity, I would go above and beyond. And if I cannot do that, I will just say I don't have the bandwidth for this at this time. So community is very, very important because that's where you get to ask those questions, where you get to have someone hold your hands, where you like get to have mentors that, not like in the most formal sense of it, but you're able to like ask your questions without fear of backlash. Like for example, you have an issue with your line manager, right? When you ask it in your community, it's a different thing from when you're asking your line manager because by the time you've asked in your community and you've gotten a lot of feedback, by the time you go to your line manager, you're not asking as someone who has no idea of how to navigate things, and it's really helpful because like I'll say, experience is the best teacher does not mean it has to be your experience. You can learn from the experiences of other people, and this is part of what a community provides. Sounding boards, and then people that can speak based off their experience and guide you so you don't make the same like mistakes that they've made. So for anyone who wants to get started in tech, as much as you can, be part of a community and don't just be passively involved in the community, because I find that some people join communities but it doesn't really help them, and this is because they are very quiet. So when you join a community, it's fine to like maybe take 1 week or 2 weeks to just study the lay of the land, but it's very important that you're involved because when people want to help you, as much as you think they are being maybe selfish, when people want to help you, they would typically want to help those who they've actually been seeing or they actually know to an extent. So it's very important that like you don't just join a community and be quiet, get involved. And one of the ways to get involved is to volunteer. If you don't know anybody and you want to start to know people, just volunteer because you will have teammates, you will know your teammates, and then you get to know more people. And then like it just expands your network in such a way that when people think of someone who wants to do or like who is looking for someone who like has your skill, it's your name that will come to mind. So yeah, be part of a community and also be very involved. Share the little knowledge that you have as well.
That's so profound because I mean that's like one of the things that we see. That's why we now have like a lot of dormant communities because people just join and they're not actually engaging, right? People just want to be there and just see what's happening and all of them. That's so profound. Thank you very much. All right, so I'll just move on to the next one. So the next questions, so I mean you shared how I would say tech found you, right? Uh, so, but I mean, if you were to do anything different, right, to get yourself to where you are today, if there's, I mean, one thing that if you had to restart your journey again, you would actually do different. Is there anything that comes to mind, right? If somebody says, "Hi, NC, can I mean, if you were to restart your journey again, what would you do differently?
Hmm. To be honest, I don't think I'll do anything differently because I was fortunate to have a line manager that was great, and I've had some pretty amazing ones that, like down the line. I think maybe one thing I'll do differently is maybe paying more attention to things like SEO, which is search engine optimization, pretty much the technical side of things. Because as a creative, most of my marketing was generally focused towards the creative side, so I didn't really get very technical, and that is something that has come back to bite me. So I think I would pay attention to that. If I had to do anything differently, I would try to get like a little bit more technical than I was when I started. But then next best time to start is today. So I'm currently on that.
Guys, the truth is, I can relate with a lot of these things, right? Yeah. So, I mean, that's. Thank you very much. I mean, does anybody have a question? I want to like break it, so we take a question from the audience, and then we get. I think we still have about 4 questions, right? Is there anybody in the audience who wants to ask a question before we go on? Ayotunde Olufemi, are you here? Because I remember you had a question before you went off.
Yes, thank you, Coach Hilary.
All right.
I think Ntongha has actually combed that when she was talking about coming from digital advertising to billboard advertising. That's where I'm coming from. So I was trying to say, how did you leverage what you've learned while coming from advertising world, fusing it to tech world? How did you leverage and how did you ensure smooth transition? I don't know if you got me, Ntongha.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, yeah. So for me, um, I want to say that it was more of because let me just give some context. I My former line manager where I worked in the ad agency was in Ibadan, and I was just randomly gisting with her. She was like, "Oh, it was for a job." I was like, "Oh, are there any open roles?" And then she said, "Oh yeah, sure, there is an open role for a content strategist." And I was like, "Oh, please refer me." I was joking, but she was like, "Okay, yeah, sure," and she did, and I got an interview invite, and I had that interview, and I had the next one, and I had the final interview, and all of this happened within 1 week. So my interviews were Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and at the end of Friday's interview, I got the job. And when I sat down to do like a postmortem of sorts, I realized that part of the reasons why was because I had sort of like a ready portfolio. So, and again, like don't forget that my role was it wasn't entirely entry level. It was actually supervisor level, like which is like 2 levels above entry level because I had 1 years of experience in an ad agency. But being able to first of compile the work I'd done such that the person I was interviewing with could tell that this person like actually has experience doing what we need and has results to show for it, and having that readily available in a portfolio was really helpful. That's one. And then two, this role wasn't so much of a what's the word, it wasn't like a 360 in a sense. It was more like a segue from doing it in the ad world to doing it in the tech world. And what this means is, as a social media manager, I was like pretty much doing content writing. But because I was always intrigued by copywriting, I spent a lot of time with the copywriters, and I had like gotten like enough experience to like work on quick scripts for brands. So that was also part of my portfolio. And this role was a content strategy and copywriting role, which means that I had that copywriting experience because I had spent time like working on scripts and could show it. I also had that social media manager experience, but I also had content writing experience. And I'll be honest with you, when I did get the role, I was so overwhelmed. I don't want to say by imposter syndrome, because I genuinely felt like I did not know what I was supposed to go and do in that role. So what did I do? I reached out on Twitter to two different like marketing people I know, and I would say to their credit, like they were incredibly helpful. And this was really huge for me because I did not even know them. Like I just used to see them randomly tweet about marketing stuff. And I reached out to one Feromi Ajetomobi, who was at Cowrywise then. And I also reached out to Opeyemi Memiro, who was like a brand comms person. And I had conversations with them, and it gave me a lot like more insight, such that by the time I actually resumed the role, I didn't just go there like, oh, I'm a blank slate, write on me. I went there with my ideas for my role. So one, being able to like properly show your value in terms of this is what I've worked on, these are the results that I've delivered in my current role, and then being able to show how that is transferable to this current to like the role that you're interviewing for is very important. Because one thing that I've realized working in tech is that if you have agency experience, it is very valuable, because especially in this age of AI, where people just think, oh, I can just write like maybe a caption on ChatGPT, and you see it and you're like, what is this? You didn't put any thought into this. So that sitting down to like actually think about how your message is conveyed, how it comes across to the final customer, that experience that you get working in an ad agency, about how you can marry the like creativity with what would actually get people to want to buy your product, is very helpful in tech, because not many people have that experience, and that is something that is an advantage. So being able to show your value in that, and like showing how your skills are transferable in marketing a tech product, is very important. But one thing to note is that, as opposed to working in an ad agency where you're not directly responsible for numbers, you have to go beyond thinking about how creative can this be, to how will this help them make money, because tech companies don't have the same money that ad agency clients have. So being able to show how that creativity could translate to value is very important. So I think like upskilling in that wise would be very helpful. So it can be that maybe you just take your friend's social media page or something and say, I want to use your page to like learn paid ads or something, and then you're helping them run like advertising on it, and you're getting numbers. That would be helpful. But I think even if you don't have that, just being able to show how your experience, your agency experience, helps you understand customers better, and then helps you communicate value to those customers, is very important and would be very helpful. I hope that answers your question.
Very beautiful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. And I'll just move on. I think someone dropped a question in the comments. I'm going to get to that. I'll just move on to the next one we have here. So so the next question says, breaking into tech can, I mean, sometimes feel overwhelming. And, you know, I mean, it happens for everyone, but for particularly women, what's that one advice that you can give to women? I mean, one of the reasons, the main reason why we are here to discuss it is International Women's Month, right? So, I mean, you are a woman, a lady who has done it, right? So, for women who are trying to like, get their journey started in tech, what's that like? Are there like kind of series of advices or one advice that you can actually give to them? I mean, there's no denying the fact that it's harder for them, right, than their male counterparts, right? So what's that like one advice, or what's those things you can say to them that they can pick and say, oh yeah, if NT has done this before, then I can also.
Okay. I think my one advice will be start with a self-assessment. Always start with a self-assessment. So much like it is with every career, right? I want to believe that people don't just say, I want to do something just because everybody's doing it. Because I don't operate that way. I would say start with a self-assessment. You have to figure out what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are before you start. And this is important because where you start off in tech may not necessarily be where you would remain for the rest of your career. But it's important that when you start out, you're playing to your strengths. You can always add to that as you progress. But to even get that first role in, you can't be someone who maybe doesn't know how to interpret data or even how to spool data, and you say you want to apply for a data analyst role. No one will give it to you because not only do you not have the experience, it's a weakness for you because you have no idea how to navigate it. So for me, for instance, I was already doing social media work, and I really loved social media then because I spent a lot of my time online. I loved to write a lot. I did a lot of creative writing. And when I was interviewing for my first tech role, it was that experience with social media, that experience with writing and copywriting that helped me stand out. So I've like I've like pretty much always played to my strengths because I know, oh, I'm great at writing. I can do like communications work. I can even like oversee social media. I can help with like strategy documents and all of that because I was already doing that in my, well, like in my first ever job. I was working on documents for pitching to like big clients. So I was like, oh, I have such great attention to detail that I've only been in this job for like less than a year, and they give me strategy documents to look through because they know that I will spot any typos that are there. So it's important that you sit with yourself and you ask some people who know you really well what they think your strengths are. And then when you figure that out, it means that in figuring out your strengths, you've also figured out your weaknesses. So while you are applying for a role that plays to your strengths, having identified your weaknesses, you're able to say, this and this and this is where I need to do better. And this is or like maybe you would reach out to someone who is really great at those things that you consider your weaknesses and ask for like help or like materials to help you grow. So always start with a self-assessment. Play to your strengths, identify your weaknesses, and figure out how to work on them so that you become a better, well-rounded like career person.
Thank you very much. I mean, I'm sure that like I just hope that I mean the session is being recorded, but I hope that guys are taking notes, right? Because it is like pouring out a lot. So thank you very much. Let me take this guy's question, Shadrach. Um, okay, you know what? Let's get back to it. When I'm done with this, I'll take that. So next question says, I mean, the next question we have here, yeah, basically about imposter syndrome. You've talked about that, you've touched on that already, but I mean, many people struggle with this, right? And then even those who already have kind of like have experience, right? Maybe they're trying to like change roles and all of that. So I just want you to talk about that quickly. I mean, people who get to face imposter syndrome, maybe they are in a new job, or they actually, maybe they've upskilled or they're upskilling, and then they are trying to like find a role, and they have this thing where they're not too sure if they're actually that good enough. I mean, if you get to like talk to people like that, what would you say to them?
Hmm. Um, First thing is that everyone experiences imposter syndrome, and I don't think anyone completely outgrows it because I think that the only way you 100% outgrow it is that you become comfortable, and growth never comes from a comfort zone. There's something one of my line managers told me early on in my career. He said, every one of us is doing life for the first time. So even when you look at your CEO, they're just winging it. Forget how confident they look on the outside or when they are speaking in meetings. Everybody is currently in one state of experimenting or the other. My CEO will say life is a series of like prioritization exercises. So what this means is that you're facing imposter syndrome, right? You can either choose to dwell on that or choose to get out of it. And how do you get out of, or like shift your focus from dwelling on that to doing the other things that you can to shut that voice down? One way is to build necessary skills that would make you indispensable. But in also like dealing with this, some things that I've found that work for me is one, have something like a brag document or a place where you document your wins. Maybe it's something your line manager said when you did something really great, or metrics from your work that you've able, or like that you've been able to achieve, things that you can go back to and you remember how badass you are. It's very important to have that. I find that most times, because we don't have like an avenue for this, we typically tend to get bogged down when we get these feelings of, I have no idea what I'm doing. Oh my God, I'm so dumb. How do I not know how to do this? But when you go back and you see that you're the person that has done all this work, you're like, you've tried though. And this is something that I didn't actually realize until I was applying for a global talent visa, because I had spent my almost 5 years in tech just thinking, Omo, I've just been deceiving everybody. I don't know how people have been employing me. And what have I done with my life? And then I had to gather evidence of the work I'd done so far. And by the time I compiled it, I was like, you are underpaid. They're not paying you enough for this work that you are doing. So I think it's it's very possible that part of the reasons why you feel the way you feel is because you're not documenting enough. If you document, I like if you start documenting like maybe every week and you come back in 1 year, you will be surprised at how much work you have done, at how much effort you've put into the work that you have done. And it will be very helpful when you get those feelings of imposter syndrome. Second thing I would say, or last thing I would say rather, is talk to someone. It's in your career, in life really, it's very important that you have somebody that when you're getting these feelings, you can speak to that person and that person would then remind you of how good you are. It could be a mentor, it could be a peer, just somebody that has seen you do the work and will say, what are you saying? Like, what do you mean by you feel like you're dumb? Look at what you have done so far. It's very important that everyone has that person or those persons that can refocus your mind when you get these feelings and it makes you like feel down. So that is what has been helpful for me so far. Um, as early as maybe like 3 weeks ago, I went to lament on one group chat with my senior colleagues. I say, I have no idea what I'm doing. Jesus Christ, they will sack me. And then and then they were like, calm down, calm down, calm down, calm down. And like, and then like one of them just got me on a call with someone else that was able to guide me. So these feelings are common to everyone, but it's important that one, you are documenting what you've done to remind yourself, and you also have people who can actually remind you of how great you are. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, honestly, like I've never thought about. I mean, there's this cliche of like remind yourself of how good you are and all of that, but
Yeah.
the idea of actually documenting it and then looking back at it after a year and realize that yeah, I've actually done. I mean, that's very profound. Wow, thank you for sharing that. I had to like take that down in catalogs. All right. Thank you very much. Right. So I mean, next question I want to ask you about what's it called now? About I mean, work-life balance. Some people say it's a myth that you can't actually balance it, right? And then you've been in tech for a long time. We know how it can be demanding, right? So do you believe it's a myth? If it's, I mean, how do you get to like balance your life? I mean, I know how active you are in church, a minister of the gospel, and then you have work, and then you're married. How do you get to like balance all of that together?
Hmm. Very
Yeah.
bold of you to assume I have work-life balance. Very, very bold.
I don't
there's
know. Yeah.
there's something that someone told me once, that work-life balance is a myth. That again, like my CEO said, life is a series of prioritization exercises. So you may be prioritizing certain things at certain points in your life and deprioritizing others. So it's not like a seesaw that you always have to stay in the middle, right? There's something one of my pastors said when she was trying to explain this, and she said, imagine that you're holding a series of balls and you're juggling like different balls at different times. Sometimes to hold up career, you have to let go of something else, or to hold up your spiritual life, you have to let go of something else. So for me, I think it's more of a prioritization thing as opposed to having a seesaw where everything is perfectly balanced, because I don't think there's any such thing. So for me, I don't want to presume to have that balance completely, because it's something I'm still trying to navigate. But I've found that being able to, and this is something that remote work does not really help with, being able to say this is the set time for this particular thing is helpful. Like if you work a 9 to 5 and you say, and you say by 5 I'm closing my laptop and I'm going to exist in the real world, that would be helpful for you because it centers you. And there was something I read, I can't remember where I read it from, where it said like the advice was pretty much be where your feet are. This helps with people that would typically run like wild and free in their head. So if you're in a meeting, just think of where your feet are. Your feet are maybe like on the ground, you're in the meeting, and focus on that meeting. And like when you close your laptop and you're spending time with family, be where your feet are. Don't be that person that's thinking of work when you're meant to be with your family, because what you realize is that you're not really giving your 100% to anything, because when you're at work you're thinking about something else, and then you're with family you're thinking about work. So just being able to center yourself in the moment is going to be helpful, and having specific times for specific things would be helpful. It will seem like you're living on a calendar, but at least for the Mondays to Fridays, try as much as possible to ensure that when you're not working, you're actually not working, and when you're working, you're actually working. So if it's that you're praying, let it be that that's where your focus is. You're where like your feet are. You're with family, let that be your focus. You're with friends, let that be your focus. That helps in centering yourself. And I think it does contribute to having a sort of like balance as you go through life, whether professional, spiritual, like emotional or physical. Just be where your feet are.
Thank you very much. And that's like another angle again. That's, I mean, yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, so just two questions to go from me, and then we'll take everyone's question, right? So this one says, for women particularly, I mean, you answered that, right? Um, but for people who feel like they might not like do tech is not their way, do they actually have to do tech? Or would you advise them to go to something else? Basically, now this is like particularly for women.
Hmm. Again, like I said, it's important that you play to your strengths. I've heard a lot of people talk about how there's money in tech, and it's funny because there's more money in oil than in tech. There's more money in investment banking than in tech. There's more money in finance than in tech. Um, I feel like when people who haven't really sat down to do that self-assessment speak like this, what it shows is that you haven't actually assessed yourself. And I don't think that there's a tech boom that everyone should just get in and then you will just blow. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that in any industry. I just think that tech is maybe the most spotlighted at the moment. What I do think in terms of like, do you want to work in tech or not? I would say there's no compulsion whatsoever. There's nothing that says if you don't work in tech, you are a failure. There's really nothing like that, because it's what's the word I'm looking for? If everyone wanted to work in tech, tech can't even accommodate everybody. The money that tech people are getting from like raising and all of that, it came from somewhere, and that somewhere was not tech. So it's very important that you first of all sit down with yourself and say, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What do I want to get out of life? In 5 years, what do I want to be known for? Not everyone is going to be, or like, not everyone is a business person. I always say that I don't have the head for business. I'm very happy with working for somebody else. I don't have the energy to be doing my own business. But some people do that excellently. And there are some people who, like, 9 to 5 can never be for them. There are some business owners that still do 9 to 5, even though I would always advise that anyone that's getting like into business should have some actual corporate experience, because it helps you with like structuring like how your business would be. But not everyone will do the same thing, and it's fine. The goal of everything, or like at the end of the day, you should be able to bloom where you're planted, which is again where your strengths come in. If I was not in tech, I would most likely still be in advertising, because at the end of the day, what matters is that you give your best where you are. You don't have to be in the reigning industry. You just have to do your best with your God-given talents. I think that's really what's most important, because at the end of the day, I'm a Christian, so this plays a lot in like how I think about things. Like, when you stand before your creator, he will not ask you, why didn't you do tech? Or why did you do tech? The major question would be, the gift that I gave you, what did you do with it? It's not, did you do what was raining? My pastor will typically say, when you stand before God, he will not ask, why didn't you drive the latest Benz? So it's very important that you're able to assess yourselves, or like rather like yourself, and be able to say, these are my skills, this is what I'm great at, and this is what I'm drawn towards. You don't have to be drawn towards tech. Even me, that before I even entered tech in 2017, I tried to write code. I think it was Java or something. As like, immediately I successfully wrote Hello World, I closed the laptop and said, God forbid, I will never do such a thing again. But look at me now. I'm not writing code, but I am actually working in tech. And I didn't even start out doing that. So all that matters is that you have assessed yourself to the point where you've identified your skills, you've identified your strengths, and you've identified what comes. There are some things that I learned early on as identifiers of what you should be doing, and it should be things that you find yourself really drawn to. Like me, like that was communications. That was like either speaking or writing or communicating with people. So it doesn't have to be in tech. If you're working in marketing, every industry, there's marketing inside, and most industries have some sort of tech involved. So even a software developer can work in an like in an industry that is not a technological industry, but they use tech. So don't restrict yourself. Just bloom where you're planted.
Beautiful. Bloom where you're planted. That's very, very catchy and profound. Thank you. So last word. For I mean, every now and then, tech is evolving. Today, the future is on AI, right? Everybody wants to do AI. Everybody wants to, learn how AI works and all of that, right? So every now and then, I mean, 2 years ago it was Web3, Web3, Web3. It seems like everybody has to do Web3, right? So the question now is, I mean, for somebody who has your experience in tech, how do you stay updated? How do you continuously grow yourself so as to remain relevant in your field, basically.
Okay. One way, like I've, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, is communities. A lot of gold is shared in communities. I also subscribe to newsletters. In my space, I'm subscribed to Lenny's newsletters, MKT1. I also listen to podcasts. I subscribe to some product marketing related podcasts, and well, some about business as well, like Ready for Launch, Positioning with April Dunford, Masters of Scale. Uh, I think that the most important thing in all of this is to always be curious. And that is something one of my senior colleagues would typically say, always be curious. Because if you're curious, you will always know what is happening because you always want to know what is happening. Be part of communities in your space because all those, like that thing that we talk about where parents are always sharing WhatsApp long posts or something. The same thing happens in communities where people see something that's like they find interesting and they just share. And that is how you get information. So be part of communities because you will find a lot of really helpful information in these spaces. But also find out newsletters specifically to your career path that you can subscribe to and just learn again from the experiences of others. Same as podcast as well. That like that's really helpful. But at the end of the day, just ensure that you're someone who is always curious and not curiosity that is born out of what's the word I'm looking for? Not curiosity that is born out of fear, but just because you're someone who wants to get better, not somebody who is afraid that whatever new is coming is going to take a job. Just be someone who always wants to improve. That would really help you as you go ahead in your career.
Okay, that was something. Thank you very much, Auntie. Thank you very much. I'll take this question, guys. So if anyone has a question you want to ask Auntie, please just raise your hand. I'm going to call you out, and then you'll be able to ask your question. Any question, actually, that is bothering you. You've been trying to get into tech. Things have not been working, or things are working. You want to upskill, right? You can just raise your hand and I will give you the mic. So this Shadrach Ibuka says, my question is, how do I start getting remote jobs as a graphic motion designer for international customers? Yeah, I think he's asking how does he get jobs, or he's a graphic and motion designer. How can he get to work with international clients, basically?
Okay. Working internationally from Nigeria, at the end of the day, I think it boils down to two particular things. One, how you're portraying value. So it's very important that, and like when I say portraying value, I don't mean, oh, okay, you have a portfolio, right? How is it presented? There's a difference between having value, being a person of value, and being someone who is able to portray that value to a potential customer or employer. So it's very important that you're able to like portray that value, and this will typically come off in first of your portfolio. How is it presented? Is it something that, like, if you're a designer, for instance, how does your portfolio look? Does it look like something that thought went into, or is it that you just gather your projects and you just throw it like into one folder and say, okay, like, check out my work? Like, there's a reason why when you look at top design websites or like websites of designers, you see that there's a flow. You see that they arrange things like it's a case study of sort, because they want you to not just see what they've done, but to understand the thought process behind it. So this is how I thought of it before I arrived at this conclusion. It's not just see my work. If you like, remember how I went through my portfolio, I had like a lot of texts describing what I had done to give you like a sense of my thought process in all of this. And that is important if like you're applying for international roles, because it's not just, oh yeah, see, I can do the work. it's that not only do I have the value, I'm portraying it in the best possible way. And then I think being on job boards, I don't know if you are on any job boards at the moment, but that would really be helpful. Job boards like welcome to the jungle.com, remote.com, weworkremotely.com, wellfound.com. Those are pretty helpful for like finding like remote jobs. You can also get on freelancer platforms, I think, like Upwork, Fiverr. Um, I hope this is helpful because again, I'm not much of a designer, but I have worked with designers, and this is what like I've noticed in how their general like approach is. One thing I will add is I find that most people who do not work in comms required roles tend to think that their being able to articulate themselves properly is not required, which is wrong, because in every single role that you work in, you should be able to communicate properly and communicate succinctly. So even in your portfolio, there shouldn't be, if it's possible to get like maybe a writer or like an editor to look at things like your grammar and all of that, and even checking your LinkedIn profile and stuff like that, like just to ensure that you're coming across as a professional, because there's a difference between I can do the work and a professional, and it will show in how you like carry yourself, in how you communicate your value. I hope that this is helpful. I don't know, again, not a designer, but I hope that this was helpful to you.
Yeah, I mean, I believe I trust that. Thank you very much, NT. So, Pauline, okay, yeah. Pauline's question says, how do people get these communities based on their skills? Right? You've said a lot about communities. So, how do people find communities based on their own skill set?
I would say, because for me, the very first community I found was by referral, but I think that you can ask around. Like me, like for instance, if anybody comes to me and says I want to do digital marketing, I immediately refer them to DigiClan, because I'm like, I can't even help you as much as being in DigiClan can, because I have very limited time. But DigiClan gives you access to lots of people at different phases of their life. So as other people are even asking their own questions, you're learning from them as well. I think you can try using Google, because again, people don't get into these communities based on their skills, because communities are not like jobs that you need to have so and so skills to be part of. What you need really is either an interest in that space, or you're doing something along those lines. You don't like like there is no clear set of skills required to be part of communities, especially communities like DigiClan. Some other maybe like close knit communities would require some sort of skills. Like maybe if you want to join growth hackers, you have to be in the space already. You get, but grassroots communities would typically not require this. I don't know if you want to say the kinds of communities that you're looking for, because again, I'm very marketing focused, so most of my experience is like towards marketing. But maybe if you can provide some context, and it's like around the spaces that I know, I'll be able to say, oh, this person has so and so community, or like I know someone that you can connect with on LinkedIn, and the person would like be able to like give you a list of communities that you could join or be part of. Okay, I see Shadrach is asking for a job list. Let me try to write it for you.
Oh, sorry, I think I was muted.
Okay.
Yeah, Pauline, I don't know if you want to do that or you, that. Okay, okay, all right. So, is there any other question? Does anybody else have a question? Hello, I am there. Are you here?
Um, Good evening, house. My name is Shadrach. Um,
Yeah.
it's my pleasure being in this community. Um, I love what you guys are doing, and I really appreciate the opportunity because I love anything like anything tech, internet, creativity, anything around that. I'm okay with that. So I really appreciate you, and also appreciate the guy that is also addressing the whole thing. So the whole thing is like you understand what you're saying, but what I'm trying to ask is I just need to be in a community where I can always be sure as a Nigerian that I can actually apply for job based on my role. I'm straight up. I'm just a designer. I'm a motion graphic designer. I do graphics. That's my. It's mostly most. All of us must be tech. So I'm trying to find a way I can be in a community where I'll be seeing job because I don't Nigeria time they pay, but they don't pay me once the way I want. So I need like to make money in dollars. That's my intentions. The last client I worked for was like he paid me like 100. That is a US client, but because it's on my portfolio. But I want to be in a place where I'll be seeing hearing about online all those things, how to get clients and all. But things I'm always busy. I don't always take online things serious like that. But I feel like since I'm already skillful what I'm doing, I just want to take the opportunity. So that's why I'm here. That's my major reason I'm in this meeting. Thank you so much.
Okay. So first off, again, what it sounds like you're looking for is a community where jobs are posted regularly, and I'm not sure that because again, I am in marketing, so I know that you can find product marketing roles on Product Marketing Alliance Slack, but I don't have this for design. But I do think it's something that you can find online. The job sites that I shared are sites where you can see, like you can search for roles that are specific to like motion design, creative design, and whatnot. But for like a community that is focused on this, I don't know of any. I don't think that we generally have communities like that are just specific design jobs. Again, like you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't have that in marketing, so I can't really speak to that. I can only speak to general job sites where you can filter for specific roles, which is what I shared earlier.
Okay, ma, I saw what you sent to me. That's nice. Well, another thing is like I did about 5 hour or what do you call it, Upwork. I don't have an account with those platforms, and people do talk about it. People always post, they teach people, they do that, they do that. But my own is like I'm looking for. Let me just see if it's those 5 of 18. I'm looking for someone who is making money from it. It's not like they will say they are making money from it, and if you are trying to register, nobody's going to guide you more because I believe in like even if you are good at something, you need someone to guide you about what they are specialized on. My own is just to do the job. My own is just to design. But when it comes to all those freelancing, how they work about, I know there are people who are good in that thing. Fiverr, how to get customers online. I know there are people who that is their job. So I'm trying to know if you guys can help me, even if you can help me, like in a community where I can apply for opportunities like that, working for people. If there are people who are actually good in those online freelancing so that I can work with those people. Because once I can give them what they want, I believe they will come again. So that's the thing. If you can help me on that.
Okay, thank you, Shadrach. So I don't think our speaker is in. I mean, that's not why we have her here. So please let's not bug her with all of that. You
Okay,
can,
okay, okay, okay. Okay.
yeah, you can always reach out to. You can always like find people online, right? So thank you very much. Uh, do we have any other question? Does anybody else have a question before? I am the. Are you here? I am the. Not sure she's here. Okay, yes, she is. Emily, can you hear me? Yes.
Hello. Yes, I can.
Hi. Okay,
Yeah.
so I mean, I just want to be sure if there's no other question, I'll just hand the mic over to IMD so she can round off. I don't think there's any other question. Okay, yeah,
Okay. We have someone.
yes. Please go ahead.
Kende, please go ahead with your question.
Okay, good evening. David Kendi by name. Sorry, I just want to ask this question. Like, I want to venture into tech, and that is data analytics, but I'm still a student currently in Polytechnic Ibadan. So I don't know what to do because I had a a tutor that started with me with some skills, just learning skills. I started learning skills, but unfortunately, like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, we departed. So I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know if I can find some communities that that can raise, like, that can be like a mentor and guide someone on what to do, or I should just follow. We know that YouTube channel is all over internet and all of that. So I don't know if I should just follow a self learning first, or just look for communities that can help me to grow in learning the skills. That is my question. Thank you.
Okay. First of, what were the skills that you were trying to learn?
Yes, I've been trying to learn SQL, Power BI, Excel, and Python, but I'm still on SQL, so I've not been able to move forward due to what happened between me and my tutor. So since then, I have not been able to get something exactly like to move forward, because I don't know what to do. If I should just go to YouTube and start doing self learning, or I should just find a test school to pay and maybe they will deliver what I want. But I don't know if you can help me out.
Okay. I know that at some point in my life, I tried to learn SQL. Have you heard of data camp?
Yes, I've heard of it, but not really, like, I don't really understand what it means, but I just heard people say, oh, data camp, roadmap, and all of that.
Because data camp has courses on SQL, and they typically have some scholarships that they do. And I think in terms of, because if you want to do SQL, you have to, I would always advise that you try your hands at something before you start looking for a tutor, so that it doesn't get to the point where it looks like you're wasting that tutor's time because you discover that, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. And one of the platforms that offer scholarships for things like this are Ingressive for Good. I don't know if you know Ingressive for Good, but I got my first data camp scholarship from Ingressive for Good, and that gave me like a glimpse into SQL, and that's pretty much how I knew that data analysis was not for me, because I went through the course. I did the same thing with cybersecurity. So following Ingressive for Good and getting access to being able to apply for their scholarships was really helpful in learning for me. And I think that's something that you may want to look into. I'm just going to type Ingressive for Good in case you don't know what that is, so you can sign up to their newsletter. Um, but I think that doing a bit of self-learning um, is actually best, because it gives you the time to learn at your own pace. And for something like SQL, I figure it's something that you can practice on your own. Then when you have been able to what's the word I'm looking for? When you've been able to hone your skills a little better, you can then reach out to someone to mentor you. I know that there was something that I think it's Confidence Stavely, or what's her name, that was doing something for like mentoring young ladies in data and cybersecurity. And I also have a friend who is a data analyst, but like I do remember that he doesn't like agree to mentor people that haven't actually gotten their hands dirty doing the work first. So it's very important that even when you're looking for like a tutor, there has been some time that you have spent doing the actual work, such that the person that you're meeting is not seeing you as someone who has not done anything at all. Like, they are seeing you as someone who has started and just needs some sort of guidance. So it's very important that you actually get your hands into it first before you start looking for someone to mentor you. I hope that answers your question and that's helpful.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you very much, NT. I hope everyone can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, thank you very much, NT. Um, And thank you, Candy, for your question as well. So we're actually coming to the end of this wonderful session. But before we go, okay, Pauline,
Hi, hi, Auntie. Good
hi.
evening. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Yes, so my name is Pauline. I work with Isha School. I'm actually the sales manager. So I just wanted to, help to also address David Kende's question. Where she said where she would want to learn. So
Pauline, are you still there?
this was to come into tech, both for newbies and as well as people that are already experienced, right? So, David Kennedy, you can actually reach out to any of us, either Ayomide or myself, or I would drop our website on the chat. You could, and also my WhatsApp number. So, because we actually have a cohort that is ongoing, registration is actually closing this week. So you can actually take up any of our courses, because one of the courses we're offering for this cohort is data analytics, right? Okay, great. So Ayomide just dropped the link in the chat box, so you could just get to assess what the website is about, and also I'll leave my WhatsApp number. I don't know if you could hear me, Candy.
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Yeah. And also Isha School. Also, we also have a community which we call the Isha Tribe. So I think if you're not there, maybe you should join as well. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pauline. So I'm going to leave a link to join the tribe in the chat section. So just in case you joined today's session and you would like to join the tribe. So basically, we're a community for young professionals who are in tech or wants to get started in tech. So basically, we're a community to help you grow, share resources, share opportunities, and just learn together. So I'll leave the link in the chat section. And while we round up, like Pauline already said, we have an ongoing cohort enrollment. So we have courses ranging from product design, product management, backend, frontend, and a lot more. So the link to our website is already in the in-call messages, so you can click it, check out our website, check out our courses as well. Um, we offer hands-on learning. You get to work on a project even before you graduate. So as you're graduating, you even have a somewhat ready portfolio to make you job ready for organizations and brands. So yes, but thank you once again to NT. Thank you so much for joining us. Sharing your journey in tech and how you've been able to navigate such a successful path, and answering all our questions, answering the questions from the audience. Thank you very much, MT. Thank you so much. This event was in honor of Women's Month, and I'm so glad that a number of ladies here gained some form of clarity to their burning questions on tech. So thank you, MT. Everybody in the
Thank you for
comments says
having
thank
me.
you. We had an amazing time. We learned a whole lot. Thank you so much. And woo! Yeah, thank you very much, MT. So we're going to be rounding up today's session. We really enjoyed it. It was amazing from the beginning to the end. Your portfolio was beautiful. You
Thank
answered all the
you.
questions, and I learned a lot. And I'm sure everybody here did learn a lot. Not even one or two. We learned a lot. Thank you very much once again. So would be okay. Before I go, let me drop the link to the community in the chat section. One sec. Okay. Alright, so I just pasted the link to the form to join the community. So if you're willing to